There is nothing more terrifying than a locust swarm descending upon your crops and eating them all in a day.
So what causes these terrifying events? In this episode of What If, we'll find out what causes locusts to swarm. The Hebrew Bible describes the 10 plagues of Egypt, including an invasion of frogs, lice, hail, darkness, and yes, locusts.
They were seen as a punishment sent by God. But even if they are a biblical plague, that doesn't explain why or how they happen. Well, the first thing you need to know is that locusts aren't always a plague. Normally, they're solitary creatures that prefer to be on their own. That is, until conditions get just so bad that they have no other choice but to team up. And when that happens, they transform into what is known as a swarm intelligence. This is a group of normally solitary creatures acting as one big organism. Other examples of swarm intelligence include ant colonies and flocks of birds. But why do they do this? Well, it all depends on population density. When there are a lot of locusts in a small area, they start competing with each other for food. And as their population continues to grow, so does the competition. As the food supply dwindles, the locusts are forced to find new food sources or starve. When they do, they find something amazing. All of their offspring also hatched at the same time, meaning there is an abundance of food available. That food, of course, belongs to the farmers. When faced with this sudden windfall of food, the locusts do something incredible. They synchronize their life cycles. This means that every single locust in the swarm lays its eggs at the same time, ensuring that when the next generation of locusts hatch, there will be plenty of food for everyone. It's like locusts playing the long game, setting up their future generations for success by wiping out the food supply of their enemies. Farmers who come across a locust swarm laying eggs in their fields are understandably pretty upset. After all, they're about to destroy their entire crop yield, and sometimes the farmers will try to stop them by spraying pesticides. Unfortunately, this isn't a very effective strategy, because killing off one generation of locusts doesn't do much to stop the swarm from reproducing over and over again. It would be like trying to put out a wildfire by peeing on it. Sure, it might work on smaller fires, but a large wildfire needs much more than that to go out. If only there was some way to break the cycle of the swarm, maybe by disrupting their mating habits or preventing them from laying eggs. Then there wouldn't be a whole new generation of locusts to deal with. Well, there is a way to prevent a locust swarm from laying eggs, but it comes with a bit of a downside. See, female locusts need to mate in order to produce eggs, and it just so happens that when they're in a swarm, it's actually really difficult for them to mate. So they'll often end up looking for mates outside the swarm. When this happens, they're vulnerable to being eaten by predators. They'll often produce a pheromone that attracts other locusts to come protect them. But this pheromone has another effect as well. It can trigger the males to forcibly mate with the females. And as you might have guessed, this doesn't feel good for the female locusts. Luckily, there is one part of the process that they can control. Once the male ejaculates, the female can choose whether or not to retain the sperm. Sometimes she will, and sometimes she won't. And if she chooses not to, then the swarm just made a whole bunch of trips for nothing. Since she won't produce any eggs without the male's help, this is basically the only way for her to say no to sex. Scientists are currently working on figuring out exactly how female locusts choose which males to accept sperm from. Hopefully, they'll be able to disrupt this process and stop locust swarms once and for all. Now, knowing the reason behind the locust swarm, should we change our strategy in dealing with them? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to stay tuned for more nature videos. Thank you for watching. See ya.